Hi, and welcome back to the Unstoppable Heart Speaker Series. I'm your host, Diane Byron, and today I'm bringing to you an expert who is such an inspiration in how she was able to overcome big challenges and create a life for herself where she actually uses those techniques to help others. The best kind of person, I think, in my mind. Laura Worley dedicates her life to spreading the message of hope to all people who feel they could not recover from trauma and abuse. 27 years ago, Laura felt the same way. She knew there had to be a way to release what happened, but at times it seemed very difficult to overcome. But with perseverance, the solutions came through unconventional, a little bit alternative modalities, and Laura now knows that the impossible is now possible. She shares her passion for helping people change their lives as an advanced level practitioner and transformational coach. Laura is certified in many holistic modalities, including FasterEFT, EFT, and hypnosis. And she's trained extensively in trauma, matrix energetics, emotion code, and theta healing. Laura has traveled the world to help her clients. Her specialty is working with them in a 3 to 10 day intensive. She either flies to her clients or has her clients fly to Las Vegas for these breakthrough sessions. Laura is the creator and host of the Worldwide Transformational Summit 2016-2017. Laura Worley chooses to stand as a warrior for truth and light, helping others see the greatness in themselves. I'm so happy that you're here today with us today, Laura, because I know that your insight is really going to be standing as a light and a beacon for some people facing some tough challenges.
Thank you. That's really what I really want to do is to help people that are really feeling like there's not a lot of hope. And the reason why I felt like back in a long time ago, that's where I was. I didn't have a lot of hope. I kept running into people saying they couldn't help me. They didn't know how to help me. And I kind of started where I started going to talk therapy and started remembering a lot of really, really horrible things. And what happened as they kept coming up, this is over years. So I'm talking like 20 some years. And I'm going to all these talk therapists. And basically what I got from them was a knowledge of what my life was and not what I lied to myself about that it was. And I had this whole boatload of pain, but I had absolutely nowhere to go with it. Nobody really could help me. And it was just one day I was just so frustrated because we had spent so much money. And not only did we spend so much money, but we had been through years and years and years of this nonsense over for talk therapy for 20 some years again. But I said a prayer and I'm just like, God, there has to be something. There has to be something that actually works and releases the pain. And a week later, I found EFT. So that's when it really started for me because I was able to release the pain of it. And when I started to release the pain, my life really did start to change and I started to feel better and happier. And so it gave me a new understanding. And so my heart is, I don't want anybody to have to go through that when there is no need to. And so.
That sounds really tough, like you went through some really tough times. And your passion definitely comes through. For people who aren't aware, can you tell us a little bit about EFT before we go on?
Sure. EFT and FasterEFT tapping modalities are basically a way that you use the subconscious mind and the body to release any kind of trauma, stress, physical pains. So you're using the subconscious mind and the body to work together to really release it. So that means if I had something happen, I can think about it after doing this and it has nothing. It does not bother me in any way, shape, or form. I have no emotional charge. I feel, it's fine.
That's great. Yeah, I actually use EFT myself, and releasing that energy allows you to move forward kind of more calmly and be present and aware of what's going on. Instead of reacting, you can respond.
Yes. I can honestly say I'm a completely and utterly different person, like in every way. And it has changed so much in my life. Just all my relationships have changed.
Wow, that's really
My
amazing.
business, I mean, things that I never dreamed I'd be doing as far as business have come to me. And it's not that I said, oh, I want this and this. It just, when I got rid of the crap out of my mind, it was like my mind could actually start creating something really wonderful for me. And it surprises me all the time, like all this good stuff. So,
well, you have room now.
I have room.
Is that why you think it's so important for people to release trauma?
Absolutely. Because when we release trauma, we're actually taking it out of our subconscious mind. And see, what our subconscious mind is a place where it's just a recorder. It records everything. I believe in the womb, but some people say when you're born, all the way up until the day you die, it records everything. Consciously, we're not really aware of all of it, but subconscious mind has recorded, you know, the sounds, the way it feels, the way that we see it, maybe even smells. And if we realize that it has this recording of everything that's happened to in our life, and we have all these traumas, it just keeps playing from it. Because it's nothing more than a computer, and it says, this is my software, this is what I have, this is what I create from. And if you want to create something different, you have to change what the subconscious mind's holding. Like you kind of break that pattern, and then you're able to create something different. Yes. Because, I mean, like if we have a computer and we say, hey, you know, I want that app, I want that app, and you've got a whole bunch of crappy apps, and these nice little apps come in, and they're just like little things in the background. It's nice, and it'd be nice to use them on occasion, but if you've got a whole bunch of bad apps, you know, it's going to be harder to find those little good apps. So if you get rid of the bad apps, and you have these wonderful now great software, and it's got all this capability to do amazing things, then that kind of goes along with what The Secret teaches. Right. But the problem is with The Secret is it's great with the law of attraction, but if you do have a lot of negative beliefs and experiences, that's going to override the positive, I want this. Right. So that's kind of, yeah. The design of The Secret, when I read it or watched it, it was, you want to live as if that's happening, and with all that stuff, it gets in the way. Yes. Mm-hmm. Got it. Now, can people really let go of their trauma? Is it really possible? It really is. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that is because I experience a lot of trauma and abuse almost every single day of my life by several people. And if I can be in the place that I am now, and when I look at that, I can tell you what happened to me, and there isn't this, you know, oh my gosh, something happened, it was so terrible. That's not how I feel inside, because it's not there anymore. I went to those specific memories of what happened, and I released the pain of it. And I'll probably explain this in a little bit, but when you release the pain of what happened, it no longer has hold on you. So I can tell you my story, and my story is just a story, and it's not my life, and it's not who I need to identify with anymore. And so when all of us are so much more than what happens to us. Right. And if we can start to really uncover who we truly are, because we're so much more, we have so much more inside and we're meant to do so much. And to say, you know, well, this past experience, like maybe I've been abused, maybe I've had a horrible experience with a spouse, you know, I've had horrible experiences maybe with business, whatever that is, and you let that control your life, then you're giving that all the power. But if you can just say, you know what, trauma happens, things happen in life, I can let this go. If it happens, I will release it and let it go, and I'm going to go on with my life. That's where we all want to be. That's where I think life is meant to be. I agree. Yeah, you want to live your life. You don't want a diagnosis or past trauma or your past to control you. And all the labels, you know, like if you go to the doctor, they want to give you a label if they don't know how to help you. And that doesn't help anything. Giving drugs, and I mean, I know sometimes people need medication, but that's not the answer to being free. So, can you give us a specific example on how releasing trauma actually helped you, like something specific? Okay. So basically I'll tell you kind of how this started is I was using EFT and I went to a matrix short printing, which is EFT as well, and a seminar, and they said that Robert Smith from FasterEFT was coming, and then he asked for somebody who had a really horrible experience. It would be no content, and he would tap on it. And he tapped on it for 45 minutes. It was probably one of the worst things I could not get rid of. I just couldn't. And he tapped on me for 45 minutes. That was 5 years ago. To this day, it's zero, nothing. Yeah. And that was like, oh my gosh, there's something here. And that's how I started really getting into that. But FasterEFT has really saved my life. But because I went in, I started cleaning up at a very deep level, different experiences. And so what I can tell you is not everybody has, to this extent, the trauma, which I did. But I don't go into it heavily because I don't know that it's necessary. But it was very, very heavy. And there were very few people, as far as professionals, that knew how to help me. And so that can be a really sad, lonely, desperate place to be. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody says to me, I feel so hopeless, like I don't have any hope. I don't know how I can ever overcome this. It's just too much. And I just want to say you can. You really can, because I know what it feels like to be there. I've been there, and I know what it feels like to just not be there anymore and to have hope. And so it's all possible. So that's really what I'm trying to share. So.
And isn't that almost one of the most important things a person can have is hope, regardless of their situation? Mm-hmm. When you lose hope, it's damaging.
And when I do see a lot of clients with this kind of history, and there's a couple words that seem to always come up is I don't have any hope. And when you don't have hope, you can't go on. It's hard to go on. And that's why I believe there's a lot of suicide in the US and how high it's gotten. So, because you lose complete hope.
Right. And now people say the past is the past, and a lot of people, out in the world are just like, get past it. That happened in your past, just move on. But it sounds like kind of ignoring that and pretending it didn't happen actually is more harmful. So how does it really affect you if you do go about trying to kind of ignore it and you don't deal with it?
Okay. Some of the consequences of not dealing with past history is depression, sadness, drug use, addictions of every kind, physical ailments, chronic fatigue, I think, is a big one. Fibromyalgia that seems to be growing all over, people having this. Physical and emotional states of all kind of mental states of, there's a lot of bipolar, schizophrenic, all these labels. And then the drug use of being on antidepressants has gone up so high. And that's really the consequence of not dealing with the past. And if we go back to the earlier conversation, if our subconscious mind is a big recorder, then it's just playing it over and over again. Because it's a recorder. It's going to be there until you change it.
Right. And I know, I think going back and dealing with it is such a powerful experience because you're acknowledging it happened and kind of cleaning it up.
Right.
So that it doesn't further affect you, as opposed to people who think about it all the time and it affects them deeply. It's two different perspectives. You're going in with an intent to release it.
Okay, so let me give you an idea of what that means to release it, okay?
Sure.
Let's go to a memory. Let's just say you're outside playing and Dad gets really mad and he comes over and he spanks you and it's in front of all these kids. So you have gotten all this, okay, I'm embarrassed. My dad must think blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You make some beliefs and you go on. Okay. So now that little kid has made some beliefs of, dad feels this way. I'm so embarrassed. I can't be in front of public. I'll get humiliated. So then you start to live your life by, I can't be in the public. When you get as an adult, it can go to extremes, being afraid to be around people. I mean, that's what our subconscious mind does. It takes things sometimes to extremes. It put this little 2 and 2 together and comes up with 5. And so that's why the subconscious mind, sometimes the whole job is to protect and to protect us. But sometimes doing that, it causes a lot of problems. And so so let's say that we go to that memory and we tap on it. And the mind has put all kinds of aspects on it. Anger, humiliation, embarrassment. I'm just making it all up. And so you've got like 50 different, things that was put into this one memory. So you've tapped it and you keep tapping and changing it, and the subconscious mind, finally, when it is done, there's no more emotional attachments to it. There's no more nothing to it. Sometimes what will happen, and this happens more than not, the subconscious mind will change the memory into a positive.
Wow.
And so if the memory, like dad was humiliating me, now dad is coming out, giving me a hug, saying, oh, high five, you're doing so great, something like that. Well, now there's one memory, what we call flipped or changed. Now, let's say that you have 50 horrible memories and you go and you change, let's say 20 of the same thing. Your mind can just release the rest. But let's just say that you have 20 amazing memories where they were horrible. Your mind changed it because it doesn't have any more attachment to it. This is where you have just empowered your subconscious mind to go out and create what you want, for a change, for what you would like, what makes you happy in your life. It's very weird how it does it. It just does it. And that's the whole thing. If you change your unconscious mind, the perspective of what happened, you can just release that horrible memory, where you come to like an understanding of the other person, and you come to a place of love and forgiveness instead of hate and anger, and that's freedom. So
absolutely, I agree. And I think while you went through some really difficult things, I think oftentimes we dismiss a little bit the smaller things that affect us as children that turns out to how they affect us as an adult, and we don't even realize it.
Right. Yes.
Like even, someone said to me last week, being a member of the Clean Plate Club growing up taught you to not trust yourself. And I was like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. It didn't affect, I didn't think of it that way, but it really did have some impact. And it's these tiny little things that happen sometimes that have that long-lasting impact. So tapping really can help everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Because you know what? You're not going to be a human being without having these little things happen. And what it is, it's not maybe so much what happened, but it's what we made the belief about.
Right.
What belief did we make out of it? It may have not even had anything to do with the experience at all. Right. But let's say that little child, could have gotten spanked, and all of a sudden his little, ability to comprehend things is, dad doesn't love me.
Right.
He doesn't love me. And I can't even tell you how many people say, I don't even care what kind of parents you had or people who raised you. I wish I could, maybe it's just me, but all the clients that I have ever met have said this, almost the same thing. I did not feel loved. I did not feel loved enough. I did not get my needs met. And it's an interesting thought is what happened to make those beliefs true? And it could just be as simple as, mom was late one day and she said she got something more important, or she was mad that day, on a telephone call, and she's like, just leave me alone, just whatever it was, just something simple. Mom didn't mean I don't love you,
right.
But the child feels you don't love me. So that's what you have to change, is the beliefs, whatever they are.
Whatever our interpretation of the actual event. It's like it was something that happened, and then there was the story we created about what happened.
Absolutely.
And they may not actually be even congruent with each other, but it's what we believe and have created. That's really amazing.
Have you ever been in a family situation where they all have their own perception of what happened that day? Like, you'll say that. It's like, are you crazy? That didn't happen. This happened. No, you're crazy. It's because it's how our perspective of how we're seeing life. We're seeing that story through our eyes, through our experiences, our beliefs. So
perfect sense. I have 5 brothers and sisters, so I've been in that situation quite often. But it's true. You see it through your own lens. You don't think of how other people are looking at it, or what is even what happened. Now, how do we stop the pattern besides going in and tapping? Is there something else that we need to do, or how does recreating the belief about the problem tie into releasing the problem?
Okay, so when somebody comes in and they want to know how, okay, they say, I have this problem. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is find out what their beliefs are about the problem and experiences that would support that. Because that's how the patterns are created. That's how those neural pathways are just created over and over again, because we have this belief. Our subconscious mind needs to be congruent with the belief. Therefore, you have a pattern. So if for some reason you've had this experience, you made a belief, then your subconscious mind says, okay, I need to create experiences to be congruent with this belief. Therefore, pattern, same neural pathways until you change it. That's what tapping does anyway, is change the neural pathways. You're actually rewiring the brain. So the neural pathways are changing to build new highways to new abilities to make new patterns. So
that's really amazing that you can do that with this technique.
Absolutely.
It's almost magic, but I know it's not magic, but it's like to be able to release those patterns so you can create the life that you want and get rid of those negative self-talk is really quite fascinating.
It is. It's amazing. I can tell you a story.
Sure.
There's a story that kind of represents this. Very interesting. Okay, so this lady came to see me, and she had MS. And she was getting to the point where she really couldn't do a lot for herself anymore. So we worked together for 3 days, and we I don't know, it was 4 or 5 hours a day. So let me tell you what happened. It shocked both of us. But by the time we had went through all of her the experiences that were traumatic for her, the problems, her beliefs, we found out that her subconscious mind had created the perfect solution for her, according to her problems. Consciously, we would say that's insane, no way. But it got her out of being responsible. She didn't want any more kids. Her whole life, she had to be responsible for everybody, take care of everybody. She was the young girl taking care of all the kids, all this stuff. But if she had MS, she got taken care of. She didn't have to do all the responsibilities. She didn't have to have any more kids. I mean, it got her out of everything she didn't want to do. Now, that's what I mean. Subconscious mind puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with 5. Mm-hmm. It blew us both away, because that is probably one of the most powerful experiences I've ever seen, that really shows how the subconscious mind is powerful. And if it knows you do not want to do something to the degree she didn't, it created something perfect for her.
Wow.
Yeah.
She must have been like amazed.
We were both shocked. And then at the end of the 3 days, she walked herself down to the bathroom. Now that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful, because they were having to feed her. So, I mean, the mind is powerful. And if you can release whatever you're holding inside, your mind can heal you. It's not the practitioner in any way. It's the person's mind that can heal them.
That's really an amazing story. I can't imagine how she must have felt. It's kind of almost gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, when you understand it, when you understand why, I mean,
because it was a protection module for her.
yeah, absolutely. And she did have kind of it wasn't a horrible past, but it was, not good. So, it got her out of everything. So it was perfect.
That's really quite amazing. It really is. Now, what does forgiveness have to do with letting go of trauma and abuse? Because I know that's a big part in letting go, period.
Yeah, because if you don't have the forgiveness, it's hard to let it go.
Right.
But I do want to say at the same time, you can't tell somebody that when they are first working with whatever they've been through, to just forgive it, just forgive this person, right. Because it's not going to happen because you haven't released the negative emotions. Forgiveness is the last thing.
Okay.
It's after you've worked through the pain, how you have accepted and acknowledged, that little girl or little boy inside of you, and you have allowed that little child, no matter what it is, even, just being true to yourself, if things happen to you as an adult, is to validate what happened to you, to allow yourself to really feel it, experience it, and let it go. And then you can say, you know what? I can forgive you now because I see it differently and feel it differently. If you try to make somebody forgive right off the bat before they went through that healing process, it's just words.
Right. And I think one thing that I remember when it comes to forgiveness is it's really not for the other person. It's really for you.
Yes. There's a really powerful thing that we do, and I'd like to share it with your audience because Sure. They can also do this as well, is once working through a lot of the emotional pain of what has happened, we do something called trading places, and we allow that person to go into the body of that person and feel what they felt. What does it feel like to be them? It's so powerful because you see it from a different perspective. So this person you've hated and you realize that person has been hurt, and it's just really powerful to see it from the other side. And it just allows you to have compassion and love and forgiveness. But it's in order.
Right.
So that's
you need to start with acknowledging it happened and then being able to release is that the order? You go through the order?
Yeah, acknowledging it, really working through it with however, you feel good about, whatever modality you might choose.
Right.
And then once you get past working through and releasing the pain of all the emotions of it, then that's when forgiveness can happen. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's really important because a lot of people, I'm very spiritual in my life and stuff. And I know a lot of people just say, just forgive. And I understand that is true. But at some level, if you don't let go of the whatever it is towards that person, right. It's just, you're just mouthing it off. So
absolutely.
And I do have to say this too, though. There are there's different levels of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody has violated you in some form or fashion, and it doesn't have to just be abuse, it could be whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is a process time. So if somebody has had something happen to them that was just deeply, deeply hurtful, mm-hmm. This is not something that is just going to happen like that. Right. It's going to be, they need as a human being time to process, mm-hmm. and to heal and then get to forgiveness, because I don't think it's possible otherwise.
I think that's absolutely true, because you can't go from event to forgiveness like that quick, because you need to actually make sure that you're okay in order to forgive someone else.
Yes.
And releasing the pain is one way to make sure that you're okay. Yep. That's great. Now, if you had one tip that you could give to the viewers today, I know you have a free gift we'll talk about in a minute, but just one small thing that someone could do today to help learn to release a little bit, even one thing or like the exercise you had of them going into someone else, feeling the other way, but that's a little further along the line. What would be a start?
Okay, so I can only talk from my own experience. And so that experience is to learn how to tap. It's a tool that everyone can use whenever you need it. It's really a tool you can use for the rest of your life.
Right.
And whenever a little stress comes up, a big stress, you can tap on it and release it. That is what I would suggest, because even there's a lot you can do with yourself on tapping.
Right.
But I also want to add, if you do have big traumas or anything like that, you do need a practitioner. You need somebody that can help you on the outside, because we can't go to some places by ourselves.
Right.
And so we just need help, and whoever that might be, but just help.
So that alone is a great tip, is realizing that sometimes you need that other person. You don't have to go it alone. There are people out there who are willing to help you.
Absolutely. And, there really is hope. I think all of us, if we know how,
mm-hmm.
we will have hope. It's just when we don't know how to get help, that's when we lose hope. So
right, that's true. I know you have a free gift for the audience, and as well as a bonus offer as well. So let's talk about the free gift first.
Okay. So what it is, it's just a demonstration on tapping, and I kind of tap with this person as we work through, but I also explain it so that people can kind of understand what we're doing.
That's fantastic, because I know when I started tapping, trying to figure out where I was supposed to go next and the order and what I was supposed to be doing was challenging. So having someone explain it is such a great thing, because it's watch one, do one is kind of a good way to learn.
Yeah, it will help for sure.
And the offer that you're offering for our guests, if they are interested in purchasing it.
Okay, so in January, I'm going to be starting a 4-week webinar that we're going to be talking about how to release trauma and just redefine your past, present, and future. And then I'm also just offering the seminar that I'm going to be doing live in Las Vegas in February 25th and 26th. And they can come live if they'd like to go further with that. So
that's fantastic. I do have one question, and for our guests, our viewers, that'll be on the expert page under Laura's name. So you'll just be able to click on that and find her gifts and her offer for you. But I have one question that I ask all my experts, because I live a lot in basing my coaching and teaching in gratitude, is what one thing do you think you could be grateful for today? It could be something small. Someone said a pontoon boat. I thought that was awesome.
Honestly, what I'm grateful for is that I can be more congruent with who I am and not have the past be me. And I am grateful for that a lot. I'm really, really grateful that there's hope. I guess that's what, that God gives us so much more to help ourselves if we just know how. So I'm really grateful.
I think that's fantastic. And I thank you for being here and sharing your message of hope, because being able to share what you want, not share what you went through, but share what you've learned through going what you went through, is helping so many people. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak with my community and me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Take care.